right, so welcome to the ATP Notes. The EQ for today is why is ATP used in cells?
If you recall back to your physical science days, you talked a little bit about energy. And of course, life requires energy, right? To be able to play a sport, to be able to add new cells when cells get damaged, or if you're a plant, to produce food, energy is related, energy is associated. Particularly in this unit, we're going to be talking about chemical energy. And remember, chemical energy has nothing to do really with the individual atoms. It has to do with the bonds between the atoms in molecules, okay? When they break, energy is released. When they're formed, energy is stored potentially for use later.
Okay, so the chemical compound we are talking about is ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate, and it is in all types of different cells, and it's the basic energy source, basic chemical compound energy source. So there are three components that make up ATP. One is an adenine, which is a nitrogen base, a ribosome, which is a sugar, and three phosphate groups. And actually, in the bonds of these phosphate groups is where the highest energy is being stored.
Okay, now there's two different ways to deal with this molecule. You have what's called adenosine diphosphate, and remember your root words, look at di there, right? Di meaning there's two phosphates, and you have adenosine triphosphate. And it's in that bond between the second and third phosphate where energy is stored or released for use in cellular activities. So if a cell needs to open up a protein channel and it needs some energy to do that, that bond between those last two phosphates is broken, and now you have an ADP, right? So ATP and ADP are related to each other. ADP is like the uncharged battery. ATP is like the fully charged battery.
Yep. So again, this third phosphate right here, forming the third group, stores the energy, and breaking the bond and releasing that, only having two phosphate releases the energy, and this is where you get your two phosphate, which is ADP. So again, illustrating, ADP only has two phosphates, but then when you want to form ATP, you add a third phosphate, and then that is basically what charges the ATP molecule. And it's between the third bond is where that high energy is located. So it's like a rechargeable battery. When you break this bond, it goes back to ADP. When you form the bond, it goes back to ATP. So it's like a cycle, like a rechargeable battery.
All right, so as we just indicated, ATP is this fully charged battery, and it has these high energy bonds that can be broken and used by the cell. So when we break that bond, cellular processes, as you can see in the image here, the picture here, are able to be undertaken, if you will. So say you need to, again, open up a protein channel in the cell membrane to allow something into the cell. Well, if that requires energy, if you're trying to move something against its concentration gradient, to go back to our last unit, that energy is coming from ATP.
All right, some uses, like Mr. J said, was the cell transport example. Other examples of using ATP will to move your muscles, to make proteins. It's even how fireflies make their light. So that was some just fun uses for ATP, of what ATP is used for. Okay, so video questions that you need to answer from the form, which is on Class Jump, is number 1, which compound acts like an uncharged battery? Glucose, ADP, ATP, or water? Question number 2, what are the three components that make up an ATP molecule? And you would just type in the answer in question 2.